Hey folks, how you doing? It's me, the non-trad doc. I have to head in to the office today outside of Philadelphia. So I'm just coming off of the Walt Whitman Bridge in South Jersey. So I wanted to talk to everyone, or at least give my perspective of what really is it like being an older, non-traditional medical student, and then what it's like being an older, non-traditional. Oh, by the way, go Birds! We're gonna beat the Niners. We're actually gonna pass by Lincoln Financial Field. Decimated the Giants last week. Awesome. So what it's really like being an older, non-traditional medical student, and then older, non-traditional resident, fellow, and then finally attending. Now, I may have to break this up into a couple of videos because I don't want to make these too long. So, I'm going to start off with what it's like being a non-traditional medical student. If you really want to know about pre-med, I can do that. Just let me know in the comments. Also, lets me know, if I've got people watching these things. Hello. So, the one thing that you get concerned about is, how am I going to fit in with the younger crowd? And yes, that is a question, and yes, that is a concern, and yes, it was something that I was also wondering myself when I got there. Just to give you some frame of reference, I was in my mid-30s when I was a first-year medical student in the class of 81. We were the smallest medical school, osteopathic medical school, with only 81 students. And so I really knew a lot of my classmates. I sat in the back initially. Again, probably because I was, a little fearful. I didn't want to seem too as if I knew everything because I was older or stuff like that. And, I guess as an older person, I just wanted to make sure it was easy for me to go to the bathroom. Anyway, so I sat in the back, and I got a little chummy with a couple of the people who were sitting around me, but nothing that I would call friends. And I mainly started by staying quiet. I was hit with a really, really bad case of imposter syndrome. I really didn't belong there. What am I doing here? It's been so long. But the truth of the matter is I did belong there. I didn't get in through any back door. I worked my tail off from 2003 to when I started in 2007. So, there was nothing that was given to me. Look, so over there, right there, that's Lincoln Financial Field. Go Birds again. I mean, right now, this stretch of I-95 is usually filled with personal injury lawyer ads. Now they're filled with Fly Eagles Fly, which is much better. Anyway, but, after I started, I realized I don't need new friends. I had my friends that I made in college, that my best friend who, to this day, from 92 when we met, to this day, we're still friends. Best friends, we talk every so often. You know what they say, a friend is someone who you don't have to see or talk for months, but you pick up where you left off. that's exactly what it's like with me and him. And I have another very old, very good friend. Same thing, we pick up where we left off. So I'm thinking to myself, I have no one to impress. I really don't care if I do or do not make any friends, because that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to become a doctor. And there was a situation where the people in front of me kept on talking, and very distracting to me, because I want to listen to the lecture and not listen to their conversation. And I started to speak up, and I said, "Look, dudes, can you keep it down?" And they kind of got a little snarky and annoyed, and I basically got up and I changed my seat. I didn't care anymore at that point. I raised my hand a lot. I answered questions. Even if I was wrong with the answer, I didn't care, because, if you didn't raise your hand, because you probably didn't know the answer either, at least I had the gumption to raise my hand and, talk it through. But getting up and moving my seat, which, by the way, I actually moved to the front of the class instead of the back, and that's pretty much where I sat for the rest of my time in preclinical years, at the front. I wanted to make sure I wasn't near anyone who was talking, and I was in my mid-30s and my eyes weren't the best either. And I was a headbanger, so my ears weren't the greatest either. So, but changing my seat actually had me sit next to another guy who was also non-traditional. He was a nurse before. See, there's one of those lawyer billboards. He was a nurse before going to medical school, and that was as a first-year medical student. And then there was another student who was kind of around that area. He was much, much younger, and we started talking, and we became a study group. And I would invite them both to my house for late night study groups. My wife would actually make food for everyone. And to this day, what are we in 2023? We met in 2007. So almost 20 years later, the three of us are still very, very good friends. If one of them actually, I was taking one of my daughters to visit a college up in north central Pennsylvania where one of my friends lived, and we got together. He's actually seen my daughters grow up, and they're also very fond of him. And our other friend lives down in Baltimore, and we the whole family went down and spent the weekend. So our families are really good friends. Those are the only two of my classmates that I am still in contact with and still friends with. And you know what? That's fine. Again, you're not going to medical school to make friends. By this time, you should have your own circle of friends, And we would meet, we would have study groups, and I was having a hard time in biochemistry. I was in danger of failing the class, and these two great guys helped me really focus on that biochemistry final, and I passed. So, from there, as a second year, again, I just kept raising my hand. Whenever a question was asked, or whenever someone was asked to volunteer, I did it. Again, I have no one to impress. You should have no one to impress. I keep saying I because it happened to me. You're going to medical school to be a doctor. Does it matter if you really fit in with your classmates? It'd be nice, but you know what? It's okay. You really need maybe one or two people to form a study group. And when you form that study group, which, by the way, I really, really suggest, because you bounce questions off of each other, you explain things to each other, and if you can explain a concept to someone else, you're reinforcing it in your mind, and you're making sure that you fully understand it. And you're helping each other. So then the question is, well, what happens, when they go after school, or they all get together and they go bowling, they kind of leave you out, and big deal. That means that you're spending less money and have to take out less loans, right? So you have to also think about it from that way. If they want, listen, you're not going to fit in with them. They're much younger than you. You have different life experiences. You have, different responsibilities. One thing though, we had small children. Our oldest was 5, and our youngest at the time just turned 1. And let me tell you, I had about 2 or 3 of my classmates that were my regular babysitters. It was great. Saturday night was belonged to my wife. We would go out. We would find things that are either low cost or free. Classmate would come over. They had the Wi-Fi. Yes, I would pay them. And, that would be that. So we were involved in the community. We were involved in our synagogue. You can be involved in your church. You can be involved in your mosque. You can be involved in your non-denominational, whatever, up to you. But one thing that you need to remember is that you should really also keep your friends close to you. Now, they're not going to know what your schedule is like, and they're going to be, they don't want you to get upset with them if they want to call you and you're in the middle of studying for an exam. So I'll tell you what I did. You don't have to emulate it. You don't have to do it. This is just a suggestion. What was agreed upon with my family and my friends is that I would initiate all the phone calls, because I know my schedule. They don't know when I'm free. They don't know what I'm doing. And so whenever we wanted to go out, I would call and say, hey, I got this weekend off. I have no exams, want to get together. Or we'd call, we'd talk, and that's what it was like. And sure, things got a little kind of hairy-carry with clinicals, and definitely got, even more complex with residency and then fellowship. But life goes on. You shouldn't stop living. You should continue to maintain your old friendships. You don't need to make new ones in medical school. Yes, you should be collegial. Yes, you should be respectful. And no, it shouldn't bother you if you kind of stand out from the crowd, because again, you're there for one reason and one reason only. You're there for you. This is something, you're not there for your kids, you're not there for your spouse, and you're certainly not there for your classmates. You're there for you. And if you're already married and your spouse is supportive, then it's not like you're looking for the soulmate, right? So yeah, people meet their soulmates in medical school and residency, but if you're married and the marriage is good and supportive, then I ask again, who do you have to impress? You're there for you. This is one of the few times that you're gonna say, what, I'm doing this for me. You should not be doing it for anyone else. You should be doing it just for yourself. So I'm gonna end that right here. A couple of tidbits of advice on mental changes and going through the life as a non-traditional medical student. Next time I'll talk about residency and fellowship, because let me tell you, all of those real world skills that you will have already learned being part of the workforce in the past, they are going to do wonders for you once you get into residency. All right. I think I'm going to expand on this topic a little more because there are a couple of other things that I just thought about that I want to talk about. But I'm getting close to work, so if you enjoyed this, please subscribe. Smash that like button. Lets me know how I'm doing. Lets me know if I'm going somewhere with this channel. Talk to you all later, and write things in the comments. Topics you want me to kind of discuss, things that you want me to hit on. One thing that there's questions are, what about the spouses? So, I'm gonna talk to Ms. Non-Trad Doc, and we'll do one of these with her in the car, and ask her questions. Talk to you all later. Bye.